14 Sinister True Stories, spine-chilling accounts of unexplained terror discovered on Reddit. Sarah felt it in her bones, the quiet dread that settled over Maplewood like a thick fog. 32 and a single mother, she should have been worried about more typical nuisances: bills, school recitals, the rising costs of milk. But lately, her comfortable suburb whispered secrets. Neighbors peeked through drawn curtains, their polite smiles tinged with fear. The nights grew colder. Trees stood bare like skeletal fingers pointing at something unseen. And her children, Jamie and Lily, had started waking in the night, terror-stricken, shouting about a suited man outside their window. After a draining shift at the diner, she returned to their modest home, the shadows stretching longer in the last light of day. Their laughter filled the space, bringing warmth she cherished, even as unease rattled her. She tucked them in, kissed their foreheads, and checked her phone, the Maplewood community app buzzing like a hive. Her heart plummeted at the sight of dozens of posts discussing strange figures lurking near the playground. "I heard noises," one read. Another claimed, "Mr. Ellison hasn't been seen for weeks." Hadn't he been Jamie's favorite teacher? Panic rose as their nightmares jumped from the screen to her very bones. She shook those fears off. Children had imaginations, right? But a chill settled in her stomach, an awareness that something terrible was brewing just beneath the surface. Late-night fears crept in when she noticed her back door slightly ajar, a sickening knot curling in her insides. Was it locked earlier? Stepping outside, she was hit by a wall of heat, flames licking the night sky from her neighbor's home. The flickering orange cast grotesque shadows on the faces of bystanders, their expressions painted with horror and disbelief. "I saw him," a teenager cried, spluttering, "the man from the app." Heart racing, Sarah clutched the doorframe, her mind spiraling into chaos as firefighters battled the blaze, futile against the hungry flames consuming everything. The next morning, the air was thick with uncertainty. Friends whispered about the fire, but it was the stories online that gnawed at her, dragging her down a rabbit hole of terror. Every click unearthing another thread: missing persons, stray pets turned ghost-like echoes, panic incidences, all tied to Mr. Ellison's vanishing. The authorities shrugged it off as rumors, framing her as paranoid, but Sarah felt drawn deeper. She glanced back at her children, unfathomably innocent in their dreams. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system, and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Branches scratched against her window like fingers reaching in. The whispers of the app grew louder, revealing a sinister lineage to Mr. Ellison's perfect facade. A Town Watch report scrawled with similar incidents sent shivers down her spine. Every victim silenced, secrets buried behind white picket fences. As shadows lengthened that night, dread and inevitability intertwined. Soft knocks echoed from the back porch, each one louder than the last. Heart pounding, she opened the door, poised to confront whatever lingered just out of sight. But an icy breeze that bit at her neck and a new app alert stole her breath. "We found Mr. Ellison, and he's not how you remember him." Who could she trust to protect her children from the terror lurking just around the corner? The wind howled, carrying with it the musty scent of decay. Sarah closed her eyes, drawing in a sharp breath, then opened the door fully. The porch light flickered weakly, and the unsettling clicks of the distant radio broadcast echoed through the dark. Fighting the urge to slam the door shut, she strained to see into the void. Nothing stirred, just an endless abyss of night. An all-consuming dread clawed at her heart, tugging her backward into the safety of her home. But as the urgency gnawed at her mind, she stood rooted, staring at shadows dancing just out of reach. Again, there came another knock, this time a frantic rapping that sent jolts of adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Don't open it," a voice whispered in her ear. She turned, startled, to find Jamie peeking out from the hallway, eyes wide with terror. "Mom, please don't. It's not safe." As Sarah crouched to reassure him, a cold draft swept past her neck and she froze. The tension mounted like a spring coiling tighter as she felt a presence creeping up behind her. Heart hammering, she twisted to look again. The darkness seemed to shift, almost alive. "We need to go," Jamie pleaded, grasping her hand with sweaty palms. "Just hold on, okay?" Sarah's voice quivered as she glanced back at the door, half expecting to see a familiar face on the other side. But all she had was the deep, unsettling silence pressing down around them. In a moment of pure instinct, she stepped outside, Jamie clinging to her leg, Lily still fast asleep inside. The muted sounds of the world beyond her porch enveloped her. Crickets chirping, distant dog barks, the faint rustling of leaves. But an undercurrent of something more sinister lurked within and twisted the air. Then she spotted it, a dark figure standing at the end of the street, the dying glow of the streetlight catching the edges of a suit that seemed stitched from shadows. It didn't move, but Sarah felt its gaze piercing through her. Every instinct screamed at her to retreat, to hide her children away from this looming unknown. Her phone buzzed violently in her pocket as she pulled it out, fingers trembling. It was another community alert. "He's closer than you think." It didn't mention Mr. Ellison, but it didn't need to. The unspeakable dread started converging into a shape in her mind. As she lifted her eyes again, the figure was suddenly gone, like smoke. Anxiety gripped her, tightening its hold as she dragged Jamie back inside, slamming the door. She locked it, her heart racing. The walls felt closer, like they had shrunk in around her. "What do we do, Mom?" Jamie cried, voice cracking. "We wait," she replied, but uncertainty bled into her words. Even the faintest noise outside made her jump. She hastily checked the locks again, surveying every window, every shadow that threatened to spill in. No one would protect them outside. But what if this was all in her head? What if she was losing her grip on reality and the paranoia would swallow her whole? The children hid beneath blankets, whispering frantic fears to one another. There was a moment of silence, then another alert pinged on her phone. She froze, breath hitching, dread pooling in the pit of her stomach. This time it was a video, a shaky recording, but the footage kept looping back to one chilling image. A suited man smiling directly at the camera, his grin stretching too wide, teeth too sharp. It flickered in the dark like a ghost, surveying the world through eyes that were hauntingly hollow. "Mom!" Jamie's voice cut through her reverie. "He's here, I can feel it." From outside, a voice rose, an echoing laughter that pricked at her sanity. Did they really find Mr. Ellison, or was this shadow something far worse? The laughter grew louder, more malicious, and as the walls began to close in, she pondered the urgency of her decision. Was there really nowhere safe left to run? And just then, another knock resounded on the door, slow and deliberate. A soft whisper followed, chilling her to the core. "Let me in." The knock echoed again, like a death knell, freezing Sarah in place. Her heart thundered in her chest, pounding as if it wished to burst free. "Mom," Jamie whimpered, hiding deeper under the blanket. In that instant, Sarah felt utterly alone, her pulse competing with the sinister rhythm at the door. "Please," the voice drifted through the wood, smooth and coaxing. "I just want to talk." Every instinct screamed to be quiet, yet it was Jamie's terror that spiraled deeper into her. She gritted her teeth, her grip tightening around the doorknob. Before she could respond, there came another sound, a rustling outside, something brushing against the screen, a soft thud, as if something heavy lurked just beyond her threshold. "Don't answer it, please." Jamie's voice cracked, the urgency slicing through the air like ice. I know," Sarah choked out, stepping back. Her feet felt pinned to the floor. She turned her gaze to the window. From this angle, the shadows outside twisted, dancing under the streetlight, but still nothing moved outside the door. The wind howled again, shrieking through the cracks of the house. It carried whispers, words barely audible yet potent, a language of fear that twisted her thoughts. "You can't hide forever," it taunted, slipping inside, wrapping around her like a serpent. Then came an unsettling scrape against the door, fingernails raking briefly, as if the entity outside sought entry with desperate, eager hunger. Sarah's breath hitched. Was it the same being they had seen earlier? Was it Mr. Ellison, or that figure of shadow she had glimpsed? The way it swayed, the way it stood still now? "Don't let it in, don't let it in," Jamie kept mouthing, eyes wide, pleading. Guilt and terror wrestled in Sarah's chest. She couldn't bear to see her son like this. "I have to," she murmured, half to herself, moving toward the door again. She felt the world shift, slipping faster into darkness with every beat. She paused, fingers hovering over the knob, and then static filled the room. Her phone buzzed again, the alarm, a warning indeed. "He knows you're awake." Uncertainty twisted in her mind. No comfort came from the message now. Was it a mere coincidence? Or had someone or something been watching? The laughter echoed again, louder this time, a cacophony of delirium that sent chills racing down her spine. It was too familiar, like throwing open a door to a forgotten past. A voice calling her name from deep within. Sarah squeezed her eyes shut, trying to block it out, but the laughter found its way in, wrapping around her heart. "Mom!" Jamie shouted again, pulling her back to the present. "We have to get out of here." The urgency in his words ignited something deep within her. With one swift motion, she turned and shined her phone's flashlight toward the shadows outside the window. And that's when she saw it. A figure was no longer lurking in the dark. It stood mere inches away, its smile wide, stretched grotesquely across its face, teeth reflecting the glow of her phone. Hollow eyes locked onto hers, devoid of emotion. "Mom, what's happening?" Jamie shrieked. Just then, the door rattled violently, a sudden explosion of fury smashing against the wood, as if the darkness itself had unleashed its rage. The laughter crescendoed, mingling with sickening whispers that crawled into her ears, wrapping tight around her sanity. The windows quivered under the weight of an unseen force. "Let me in," it demanded, a chorus of voices now, speaking from every direction, closing in on her mind, chipping away at her resolve. She could feel sweat trickling down her back, her heart racing as fear took over every inch of her being. "We can't stay here," she shouted, turning back toward Jamie, her head spinning. "But where do we go?" The walls felt like they were closing in. Then, in the middle of chaos, her phone buzzed yet again, the screen lighting up, revealing another alert. The words pricked her like pins. "The clock strikes." As the laughter intensified and shadows closed in, Sarah inhaled deeply, preparing herself for whatever darkness awaited. Was there even a way out of this nightmare? The door howled one final time, the hinges protesting. Shaking, heart racing, she took a step back, just as another knock sounded. But this one wasn't slow, it was frantic, desperate. As she peered into the darkness, questions clawed at her mind. Who or what was waiting on the other side? The frantic knocking persisted, each thump like a heartbeat, raw and urgent. Sarah's eyes darted between the door and Jamie, the air thick with dread. A moment hung between them, suspended in time. I can't, she started, but the urgency in Jamie's expression silenced her. Mom, now, he cried, and something in his voice snapped her into motion. She turned back to the door, scanning for any sign of humanity beyond the wood. They were so close, a breath away from oblivion. Who's there? She shouted, her own voice quivering, a hollow shell against the storm brewing outside. Let me in. The voice was deeper now, more insistent, and beneath it lay an undercurrent of despair that twisted Sarah's stomach. I'm scared, please. Her heart raced. It sounded like someone she knew, a familiar timbre dipped in agony. But something was terribly wrong. Jamie pressed against her side, his small frame radiating fear. The shadows outside shifted again, morphing into a darkness that seemed to breathe, expanding and contracting like a living thing. Mom, don't listen, Jamie begged again, covering his ears as if to block out the sounds weaving through the air. A chorus, haunting yet sweet. With shaking hands, Sarah reached for the doorknob, every instinct screaming at her to stop. We can't let it in, Jamie's voice echoed in her mind, yet she felt drawn to uncover the truth. Before she could form another thought, a loud crash sounded from the back of the house, shattering the tense moment. The window shuddered violently, and the very walls seemed to tremble in response. What was that? She gasped, torn between the door and the unknown noise echoing from the rear. Mom, we have to go, now, Jamie pleaded, tugging at her arm, his small fingers digging in with urgency. No, I have to see. I need to find out. The words slipped out almost against her will, the grip of curiosity tightening like a noose around her reason. Before she could argue with herself any further, the front door slammed open with a thundering crash that sent her stumbling backward. The window shuddered violently, and the very walls seemed to tremble in response. What was that? She gasped, torn between the door and the unknown noise echoing from the rear. Mom, we have to go, now, Jamie pleaded, tugging at her arm, his small fingers digging in with urgency. No, I have to see. I need to find out. The words slipped out almost against her will, the grip of curiosity tightening like a noose around her reason. Before she could argue with herself any further, the front door slammed open with a thundering crash that sent her stumbling backward. The darkness swelled into the room, tendrils of shadow reaching toward them like gnarred fingers. Sarah's breath caught in her chest, fear coiling in her chest. She took a step back to pull Jamie with her, but he was already frozen in place, staring wide-eyed. Please, the voice echoed again, now closer, clearer. Help me. In an instant, a flood of icy air washed over her, wrapping around her like a vice. Her eyes darted toward the gaping entrance, and there, a glimpse of the thing waiting just outside. Its form flickered in and out of existence, a chaotic collage of features shifting like liquid shadows. Its smile, too wide, too sharp, gleamed in the pale light with far too many teeth. Mom! Jamie shrieked, snapping Sarah from her trance. We need to run! She felt a sudden rush of resolve. Okay, she whispered. Okay, let's go. But as they turned, another loud rattle echoed through the house, this time from the windows. their glass trembling as if trying to break free. A flash of light illuminated the foreboding figure one last time, and in that flicker, she realized the truth. It wasn't just trying to get in, it was trying to help, or at least to get them. "Mom, please!" Jamie's voice sliced through the fog of her thoughts as he pulled her toward the back door, but something deep within her held her firm to where she stood. The air felt charged, prickling at her skin like static. And just as they reached the back hall, the lights flickered again, plunging them into shadow, deeper and darker than before. And then it hit her. The clock hadn't just struck. We had missed something monumental. "Mom, the clock," Jamie insisted, pulling her toward the fading light streaming from the kitchen. And as if in response, the darkness rippled, a mass shifting ominously in the doorway, whispering promises of things unseen. "Sarah, find me," it taunted, echoing a name lost to time. The door behind them slammed shut with a horrifying finality, leaving only the breath of the shadows wrapping around them, whispering secrets of their fate. As she turned to face whatever horror approached, one question drummed in her mind. What had they truly awakened in this nightmarish game? And would they survive long enough to face the truth? The air crackled with tension, each breath heavier than the last. Sarah and Jamie stood at the threshold of the kitchen, frozen in place, the darkness pressing in like a weight on their chests. The voice echoed again, a siren call woven with desperation. "Sarah, find me." It lingered in the air, curling around them like smoke, coiling deeper into their minds. "Mom!" Jamie's voice rose with urgency, pulling her back from those haunting whispers. "We have to go!" He tugged at her hand, his small fingers trembling against her clammy skin. The shadows danced and flickered, taunting and swirling with malicious intent. The kitchen was dim, illuminated only by the dim glow of the refrigerator light. Shadows loomed larger, devouring the corners. Just outside, the wind howled like a wounded animal, a sound laced with a fear all its own. "Sarah," the voice purred again, almost sweet, but it dripped with something sinister. Tension coiled within her, a war between disbelief and an unnerving acceptance of the supernatural. Memories flashed, of the old house they inherited, the strange stories tied to it, locals whispering about the haunted clock that hadn't ticked for years. How could this all connect? She forced her gaze away from the darkness, focusing on Jamie. His eyes shone with terror, and she felt his pulse racing as he clung to her side. "We can't listen," he shouted, panic bleeding into his tone. "What if—" The thought hung unformed in her mind. What if it was trying to help? They had to know. It would be better to know, wasn't it? From the shadows, something shifted, a form coalescing at the corner. "Sarah, please." The voice, alluring yet filled with pain, rippled through the air. "No!" Jamie screamed, instinctively pulling away, trying to shield himself from whatever horror awaited. The kitchen door swung open, slamming against the wall, the sound echoing like thunder in the small space. The wood warped under unseen pressures, and the lights flickered once more, illuminating the entire room in bursts. She saw it then, a fleeting instant, just for an instant. The entity twisted and contorted, eyes blacker than night, and grinning with teeth that belonged in a shark's maw. Panic struck like a lightning bolt. Without thinking, she grabbed Jamie's hand and ran, the two of them dashing toward the back door, hearts pounding in synchrony. But the darkness shifted, moving faster than they could, blocking their path. "Mom!" Jamie's voice cracked, terror imbuing every syllable. In the chaos, Sarah felt the walls sway, closing in as if the house itself was part of the sinister play. "Get back!" she shouted, her body fueling with desperation. "We have to find another way!" The shadows whispered promises of deceit and dark secrets. Just then, the clock in the kitchen bellowed, a deep, rumbling toll, as if mocking their haste. One sharp chime, followed by another, echoing grotesquely, each note swirling with heavy dread. They were being guided towards something dreadful. With no choice left, Sarah led Jamie toward the living room, a space now filled with heavy shadows. An old rocking chair creaked ominously, almost chuckling at their plight. "It's just a house. It can't hurt us," she murmured, her voice an echo in the cavernous silence, a shaky mantra against the mounting fear. But something inside her began to unravel. They had invoked a darkness by letting it in, a darkness that sought them out in the most insidious of ways. As they neared the front window, Jamie gasped, pointing outside. The pale moonlight illuminated something lurking just beyond the glass. A figure, still and twisted, eyes aglow with an unnatural light, watching them with a grin that seemed to stretch wider than its face should allow. "Mom, what is it?" Jamie's voice trembled, the innocence of childhood clashing with the horror unfolding before them. I don't know." The figure outside raised a hand, beckoning them into the murky depths of the night. Shadows danced outside, but the figure remained steady, waiting for them to decide. Will they step into the abyss or fight against the darkness? And right then, the clock's next chime echoed again. But this time, it sounded almost like warning, or maybe a farewell. With dread pooling in her stomach, Sarah turned to Jamie, the choice before them paralyzing. What dark threads had they woven? And worse, could they ever escape the twisted fate woven through that beckoning smile? As chaos lingered in the air, an unsettling question took root in her mind. What happens when they finally meet whatever waits beyond the veil of shadows? Sarah felt her heart lurch as she realized they were trapped between two horrors, the looming figure outside and the deepening shadows pressing in from every corner of the room. The air grew thick, as if the house itself was holding its breath. "Mom, we can't stay here," Jamie shouted, his young voice shaking with raw fear. The window felt like a breaching dam, threatening to spill its terror into their lives. She looked back at the door, clenched fists tightening around Jamie's small hand. "I know, but we can't just run out there." Panic surged, pooling in her gut. The figure twitched, and she swore she saw its mouth stretch wider, a chasm of blackness swallowing its features. Time slipped into an abyss. The clock chimed again, a grotesque reminder that something was counting down. A warning? A countdown to something dreadful? No more seconds to waste. "Remember the basement," she whispered suddenly. Jamie's eyes widened, a flicker of recognition and fear swirling within them. "It's our only chance. It's dark, but maybe." "Maybe what?" Jamie whimpered, glancing over his shoulder, as though expecting the figure to leap through the glass at any moment. "Maybe it can't follow us there," she breathed, hope mingled with dread. Taking a deep breath, Sarah yanked Jamie toward the hallway, feeling the pull of darkness behind them, clawing at her heels. They reached the stairs leading down to the basement, the wooden steps creaking under their weight, echoing in the oppressive silence. "Stay close," she warned, gripping Jamie's hand tighter. The dim light from above barely reached them as they descended, each step sending shivers through her spine. Below, the air turned colder, carrying a stale scent of must and decay. They reached the bottom and paused, catching their breath. The basement was a vast expanse of shadows, tablecloths draping over forgotten furniture, remnants of their past lives buried in the gloom. A single flickering bulb hung overhead like a dying star, casting sporadic light that only deepened the shadows. "Mom, what if it comes down here?" Jamie's voice broke through the silence, trembling with lingering terror. "We won't let it." She forced a confident tone, even as doubt clawed at her insides. She turned, scanning the darkness, half expecting something to materialize behind them. Then, the bulb flickered violently, and in that split moment, she thought she saw the twisted figure from outside, crouched in the corner, eyes glimmering like predators. "Run!" she screamed, yanking Jamie in the opposite direction. They stumbled across junk, a rusted bicycle, an old trunk, boxes piled with forgotten memories. The air was thick, oppressive, stifling. Every breath felt like a weight as they darted into further darkness, desperation lending strength to their legs. Between shutters of light, Sarah glimpsed something shimmering against the wall. A mirrored surface? It looked familiar, like the old ornate mirror that once adorned the entryway in the house. Instinctively, she reached out, pulling back real quick as an image reflected back. Her own face, but distorted by flickers of shadow, the creature lurking just behind her. "Mom, look out!" Jamie shouted, but it was too late. The black mass surged forward, a tide of darkness swarming around them. With a primal scream, Sarah pushed Jamie ahead, shoving him toward the far corner. "Find a place, anywhere, hide!" As she turned to face the encroaching darkness, the memories flooded back. The stories, the warnings. Could it really be true? The tales spun by locals about the spirits bound to this house? But there was no time. The darkness swirled tighter, an echoing laugh pulsing through the air. A low, mocking growl vibrated in the pit of her stomach. The clock was ticking faster, and she could feel the chill wrapping around her throat, squeezing tighter. "Sarah!" Jamie's terrified voice pierced through her paralysis, breaking through the haze of fear. With a surge of adrenaline, she dashed toward him, ignoring the entangling shadows. They had to escape, somehow. Just then, the light blinked out completely, leaving them enveloped in pitch darkness. A chilling cackle echoed around them, filling the space with a malevolent presence. Heart racing, she whispered, "Jamie, don't move." The silence was deafening, twisted with anticipation, as they held their breath in the suffocating blackness. They were running out of time, but there was still one way out, and the clock chimed again, strangely innocent amidst the chaos, as something cold brushed against her arm. Where would that path lead them? And would that be the way to freedom, or the entrance to something far worse? The silence pressed down on them like a weight, thick and suffocating. Sarah's heartbeat raced, pounding hard against her chest, quickening with every shallow breath. The coldness lingered, creeping along her skin, spreading dread that settled deep within her bones. She could feel Jamie's small frame trembling next to her, his fear seeping into her resolve. "What do we do now?" His voice quivered as if it could shatter the fragile cocoon of darkness around them. "Listen," she whispered, straining to catch any sound that could guide them. And then she heard it. A faint scratching noise, like nails clawing against wood, echoing from the far corner. The sound wormed its way into her thoughts, a twisted promise of danger. When the flickering bulb sputtered to life again, the basement came into sharp focus, throwing distorted shadows across the walls. Sarah caught a glimpse of Jamie's wide eyes reflecting the terror they both felt. "We have to find a way out," she murmured, but doubt gripped her throat like a slow squeeze. "Over here!" Jamie's voice lifted, pulling her toward the wall beside the rusted bicycle. A wooden door, slightly ajar, sat in the gloom, blending in with the rest of the room's chaos. The scratching grew louder, urgent, almost frantic, as if whatever was on the other side of that door could sense their fear. Sarah hesitated, every instinct telling her to flee, but staying put felt like a death sentence. "Are you sure?" she asked, glancing one last time into the suffocating blackness around them. Shadows shifted and loomed as if they were alive. "We have to! It's our only chance!" Jamie pleaded, terror evident in his voice. With a nod, Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself. Together, they rushed toward the door, praying it wouldn't creak under the weight of their desperation. With shaking hands, Sarah pushed it open. The door swung inward, revealing a dim corridor that stretched out into the obsidian void. The muffled sounds of laughter echoed from behind them, chilling her to the bone. "Go, now!" she urged, shoving Jamie ahead of her as the laughter morphed into a grotesque cacophony that distorted the very air they breathed. As they entered the corridor, the door slammed shut behind them, and the darkness rushed in tight, wrapping around them like a living thing. Panic clutched at Sarah's chest. Was this even an escape, or just another trap waiting to close in on them? They stumbled forward, instincts kicking in to move fast. The corridor felt alive, its walls pulsing with energy, as if harboring secrets. Whispers slithered through the air, threading terror into her thoughts. The lights flickered, casting long shadows that twisted and danced like mocking specters. "Mom, what is that?" Jamie's wide eyes darted nervously, searching for answers that wouldn't come. He gasped, pointing toward the far end where the corridor seemed to absorb the light. A voice, deep and menacing, whispered Jamie's name, filling the space with a suffocating dread. "Run!" Sarah shouted as the voice called out again, more insistent this time. The walls felt closer, as if the very house was trying to suffocate them. They sprinted forward, adrenaline pushing them. Nausea churned in her stomach as they turned into a fork in the corridor. One path led deeper into the darkness, while the other hinted at a glow. Hope flickered. "This way!" Sarah yelled, veering toward the light. But as they reached for it, the sensation of being pulled backward hit them like a tidal wave. The darkness is unyielding, sucking at their heels. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from behind, forcing them to whirl around. The walls shook and the ceiling rumbled. The corridor was shifting, rearranging itself, as if the house itself bled malice. "Mom, we can't go back!" Jamie cried out, plastering himself against the wall. The shadows danced, swirling in delight at their fear. "I know," Sarah breathed heavily, desperation clawing at her throat. "Just hold on." Fueled by sheer will, she thrust Jamie ahead, but as she did, the glow flickered and faded. And then, silence. Somewhere in the darkness, the clock chimed again, its sound echoing ominously, resonating like a countdown to something dreadful. They were out of options. As shadows crept closer, wrapping around them, the last ember of hope vanished. They were not alone. "Mom, what is that?" Jamie's voice quivered as he pointed into the deepening gloom ahead. Another figure emerged, indistinct at first, but claws glinted in the dimness. Was it rescue or retribution? Sarah's heart thundered. They had to decide, and they had to do it fast. Which path would they take, the light or the darkness? The figure drew closer, an ominous silhouette that twisted in the remaining light. Sarah's breath hitched, and she gripped Jamie's hand tighter. The claws glinted again, catching the flicker of the wild, dying light. Panic tightened within her. Who or what was approaching them? "Stay behind me," she whispered fiercely, pushing Jamie protectively into the shadow of her body. A shape formed within the darkness, its features flickering like a candle in the wind. Tall, impossibly thin, with elongated limbs that moved with a sickening grace. It paused, tilting its head, and Sarah caught the glow of its eyes, empty voids that seemed to swallow the light around them. The whispers returned, louder now, thrumming in her ears like a taunting chorus of otherworldly beings. "Sarah," the figure rasped, its voice a hollow echo that sent shivers racing down her spine. "Come play." "No, we don't want to play." The words slipped from her lips, raw with fear. She felt her resolve thin, the tightness in her chest growing unbearable. With Jamie trembling beside her, she needed to think of something, anything to distract it. "We just want to get home," she shouted, wishing the walls would drown out her panic. But the thing only cocked its head further, its interest seemingly piqued. "Home," it hissed, and as it took another slow step forward, the shadow surrounding them thickened. The walls vibrated, alive with malevolence, as if responding to the creature's presence. "Mom, let's go!" Jamie cried, tugging at her arm, his small fingers trembling against her skin. "Run, Jamie, now!" Without thinking, Sarah shoved him toward the hallway they'd just passed. The walls behind them shivered, their textures shifting ominously, curling almost to block the retreat. Just as they bolted, the creature lunged, its claws slicing through the air with wicked intent. Sarah's shout cut through the murky darkness, instinctively shielded Jamie as she felt a rush of wind whip past her cheek. They plunged deeper into the corridor, heartbeats syncopating with the pounding of their feet on the cold, hard floor. The laughter was now a shrill, frantic harmony, mixing with their breaths, wrapping around them like a tightening noose. "Please don't look back," Sarah urged, fear a hot trap in her stomach. Jamie's breath was ragged at her side. She didn't know how long they could keep running. The corridor began to shift. Again, walls bending tighter, narrowing their exit. A creeping dread seeped into her thoughts, a sinister knowledge that whatever lay behind wouldn't rest until it had them. "We have to find a door," she said, and though she scanned her surroundings, the already insubstantial light seemed to flicker even more, plunging them into a thicker dark. "Mom, I see something," Jamie shouted, pointing to a glint at the end of the tunnel. The reflections of glass or metal? "Go, go!" Sarah propelled him ahead, her eyes never leaving the shadows behind. They raced toward the light, praying desperately it wouldn't vanish. Then, just as they reached it, the ground gave way beneath them, and with a gasp they fell. The descent felt eternal, accompanied by a cacophony of sounds, the laughter, the whispers, the crashing of something monstrous above them. They landed hard in a dimly lit room that offered no respite. The air was cold, and the shadows twisted around them like serpent tails ready to ensnare. As they struggled to stand, a chorus of twisted giggles rang out once more, circling them like hungry wolves. "Welcome," a voice hissed from the blackened corners. The glinting eyes of the creature appeared once more, the anticipation in its hollow gaze terrifyingly palpable. "No escape this time," it taunted, a chilling delight echoing through the room. Sarah felt the weight of despair settle heavily as her gaze darted around, searching for a way out. But all she could see was the encroaching darkness, the shadows hungry and eager. The clock ticked in the corner, counting down. How much time did they truly have left? Another deep laugh resonated, teasing, relentless. "Can you hear it? The game has just begun." With a pulse of terror and urgency, Sarah realized the worst was yet to come. Would they find a way to survive, or become another plaything for the shadows? The dim room pulsed with an unnatural energy, the shadows dancing eagerly around Sarah and Jamie as they huddled together. Heart racing, Sarah could barely make sense of their surroundings. The walls were an unsettling mix of stone and plaster, rough against her fingertips, sending a shiver skittering up her spine. No windows, just a door, a warped slab of wood, gnarled and twisted as if it had been forged in nightmares. "Mom, what do we do?" Jamie's voice cut through the chaos, small and fraught with dread. Sarah's mind raced. The ticking clock in the corner sounded like a warning, its relentless thumping echoing in her chest. "We need to find a way out, something, anything." She drew Jamie close, her breath shallow and frantic. The laughter swelled, a mocking chorus that began to blur the line between reality and a waking nightmare. "Welcome," the voice slid into her ears again, dripping with delight and menace. "Did you really think you'd escape?" Outside the shadows, the glimmer of elusive shapes darted back and forth, taunting them, weaving through the darkness like phantoms. Sarah's vision adjusted, and in the flickering light, she could see them, faint outlines of children, their faces twisted in unnatural grins, eyes gleaming like shards of glass. They flitted in and out, giggling, whispering, their words slithering under her skin. "Play with us!" "No!" Sarah shouted, her voice a fierce barricade against the encroaching madness. Whatever these things were, lost souls, unfortunate children, they were just as much a part of this sinister game as the creature lurking in the shadows. She would not let Jamie fall into their trap. Another rumble of laughter erupted, and the air grew thicker, almost suffocating. "Let the game begin!" A sudden crash made her jump. The door! It quaked against the frame, a grim reminder of their only potential escape. But it held stronger than the terrors that sought to consume them. Jamie clutched her tighter, and for a moment, Sarah felt a flicker of hope. Maybe if they could reach the door. A flash of movement caught her eye. One of the ghastly figures surged closer, its skeletal frame twisting unnaturally as it closed the distance. "You can't run from us. You've already joined our game." She couldn't think. She shoved Jamie backward, positioning herself between her child and the advancing figure. "No!" She felt raw. A punch of emotion surged through her. "Stay away from him!" In that moment, she launched herself toward the door, a primal energy swelling within her. The laughter escalated, echoing in deafening waves, trying to sink her back into despair. But she wouldn't let it. She gripped the handle with fervor, feeling the icy metal bite into her skin, and twisted. It didn't budge. Her heart sank, but a ferocity ignited in her. She slammed her shoulder against the door. Again, no use. "Jamie, help me!" He didn't need prompting. With trembling hands, he joined her, a flicker of determination lighting in his young eyes as they both pushed with all their might. The shadows laughed, circling them like vultures. And yet, something shifted. A crack began to form between the door and the frame, a sliver of hope. "Faster!" Sarah yelled, adrenaline surging the words. Jamie pushed harder beside her. Then the laughter shifted to furious howls as the shadows surged forward, their shapes undulating in violent frenzy. The door! It gave, just a little, enough for Sarah's heart to jump into her throat. Just as she felt a surge of relief, something cold and sharp seized her ankle, dragging her back. "Mom!" Jamie screamed, the terror in his voice shattering her resolve. In a final desperate bid, Sarah clawed at the door and yanked it open, a gust of cold air flooding in. The laughter turned into furious screeches as she stepped through, yanking Jamie behind her. As the shadows writhed, something took hold of the door, threatening to close it fast. "Run!" Sarah screamed as they dashed into the unknown, the haunting sounds of the creature's rage echoing behind them. But what lay ahead? Was there truly an escape? This hell? Or had they merely stumbled into a darker realm? The shadows loomed, whispering threats that twisted around their minds, and Sarah was left questioning the very fabric of their reality. Each step felt like a countdown to an unseen end, both freeing and trapping them as they plunged into the terrifying unknown. What was waiting for them on the other side? The door swung open into blinding light. It swallowed Sarah and Jamie whole, and for an instant, the shadows behind them fell silent, sensing a retreat. They stumbled into a wide, sunlit expanse that felt impossibly unreal compared to the suffocating darkness of the basement. "Are we free?" Jamie gasped, his chest heaving with exhaustion and relief. I think so," Sarah whispered, her heart still racing. The fresh air felt like a balm, invigorating and strange. Yet a thin veil of unease hung in the back of her mind. The world around them looked familiar. That was the problem. They stood in the middle of the Maplewood Park, the playground filled with laughter, just as it always had been. She could see other parents, kids racing across the grass, and the sweet smell of blooming flowers tickled her nose. But beneath this strange calm, her stomach churned, the darkness still echoing in her thoughts. "What happened?" Jamie murmured, eyes wide as he scanned the park, trying to connect pieces of reality together. The bell of the nearby church chimed, each reverberation reminiscent of the ominous clock ticking behind them. The sound was loud, too loud, as memories of shadows crept back into her mind. She took Jamie's hand, enveloping him in a gentle squeeze, reminding them both of the bond that kept them alive. The weight of the darkness lingered, trying to merge back into their reality. Sarah's resolve stiffened. "We're okay now. We're safe." She forced a smile, though her heart faltered. The dread wasn't gone. It lingered just beyond the edges of her consciousness, an unshakable truth. But Jamie wasn't convinced. What if it comes back? He looked over his shoulder, the innocent fear creeping back into his face. "It won't," she reassured him, even as doubt lapped at her heels. "We'll tell everyone what we saw. We'll warn them." They moved through the park, mingling with familiar faces, but behind each smile and light-hearted banter was an undercurrent of something she couldn't shake. The whispers, had they been real, or had fear twisted her perception? It didn't matter, she told herself. But as they approached their neighborhood, the same unsettling sights greeted them. Shutters drawn tight, wary glances exchanged, the air weighed down with an unspoken fear. Pockets of neighbors huddled, speaking in hushed tones, and Sarah felt her stomach twist as heartache washed over her. The houses looked the same, yet something felt infinitely different. "Is he still out there?" Lily's voice startled them as she appeared by their side, sleepy yet alert, holding a tattered doll in her arms. "Everyone's scared. I heard them talking about Mr. Ellison." "Lily!" Sarah knelt before her daughter, wrapping her arms around her small form. "We're okay. We're all okay." "But they said..." Lily's brows knitted together in confusion. "Let's go inside," Sarah urged gently, taking both children by the hand. As they stepped through the door, she felt a creeping apprehension, as if the house had a life of its own, waiting, watching. They crowded into the living room, and the moment she locked the door behind them, a shudder ran through her. "We need to talk about what we saw. We need to keep everyone safe." And so, with trembling voices, they shared everything about the haunting figure, the laughter, the shadows, the basement of twisted horrors. Neighbors listened, their faces drained of color, understanding dawning on them. Sarah looked into their eyes, desperately searching for belief, for the courage of a collective resolution. I thought it was just my imagination," one neighbor admitted, shaking visibly. "No, it's real. We must act together." Sarah felt her words solidify into something greater, a rallying call against the darkness. As they exchanged fearful glances, a flicker of resolve ignited. This wasn't just their fight, it was everyone's. Each whispered threat they faced now tethered them in a fabric of shared experience, stitched with the weight of parental duty. Each heartbeat brought a fresh surge of strength. And then it hit her anew. The shadows may always linger, but they were stronger together. They could bring light into that darkness. They would protect what was theirs. Night waxed and waned through the drawn curtains, and though uncertainty clawed at their hearts, they stood side by side, united under flickering light, ready to face whatever lay ahead, determined to shed the shadows once and for all. In that moment, through the shroud of fear and uncertainty, came an undeniable conviction. They would not falter. They would fight back the darkness with every ounce of love they had. And as the clock ticked into the night, marking yet another hour, they prepared for whatever new day would come, hearts intertwined against the lingering dread, ready for the dawn. And now, before the next chapter of terror begins, You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm. Your support truly matters. Flood the comment section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What did you think would happen next? And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.